Hi folks, I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck, physical therapist.
Together we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
How to relieve your sciatica pain when you're sitting. We got 3 fast pain relief methods.
Sure.
Kind of magic, Brad, wouldn't
Well,
you say?
they can. You know, it really can turn the pain from down the leg to turning it off. But first of all, we want one more thing, Bob.
Yeah, in case you are new to our channel, please take a second to subscribe to us. We provide videos on how to stay healthy, fit, pain-free, and we upload every day. Also, go over to the Facebook and like us, because over time, Brad and I found that now people are starting to like us, and it's helping our overall mood.
Right, yeah, our bills are becoming less and less to the counselor. So.
All right. All right, we're going to first show you why sitting is generally bad for sciatica, and that's why, you know, in fact, sitting can often cause sciatica.
Right, right, and that's one of those things that is oftentimes overlooked.
Right.
You know, we oftentimes mention Robin McKenzie, and he's really one of the fathers of therapy for sciatica, and this is where he discovered and always brings up posture with sitting. And when you sit, even with good posture, your low back is stressed and those discs are stressed, particularly if you're slouched. And so we actually have a model here so that you can visualize what's going on.
So we're going to show you what's happening here. So this is the spine, and the spine is lined up just like me right now. Here's where the head would be, here's the pelvis, and we're nice and straight right now.
Right.
But if you sit down and you slouch like this, and so the spine is like this, Brad's going to show you what happens to the discs.
All right, so this represents L4, L5, 2 of the low back vertebrae.
Low back right here,
right.
L4, L5.
And the green ball represents the disc, and your disc does have fluid in it, and that's what can cause a herniation. So when you sit slouched, that low back will do this, and it bends forward and can help force the bulge, or that disc, into that bulge, which then pinches a nerve, which then creates a sciatica down the leg, all that pain.
Now, this doesn't happen to a healthy disc. A healthy disc, you know, you go for years and years where you slouch and nothing happens.
Right.
But over time, the back of the disc becomes weakened.
Sure.
And that's where you have the nucleus pulposus.
Right.
Actually start pushing out through the
There you go.
center. So
technically speaking, nice job, Bob.
I feel like we're a magician here. Like we got a
Yeah, well, I don't know if we'd make it in Las Vegas or anything. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're sitting, you got back pain, you have sciatica. Remember that if we want to get the pelvis to actually go to an anterior tilt or a lumbar lordosis, so we keep that bulge wants to stay in.
So again, here the pelvis now is turned backwards. This is a posterior tilt. We're going to tilt it this way, which actually, you know, puts a curve in the back.
It's the natural curve. It's the neutral, or the way the spine is meant to be.
So we want to get that anterior tilt this way,
right?
Not this way. Should have put the tape on my belt.
Well, Bob, I don't know.
That's all right.
So the first thing, and this is not oftentimes utilized, is your chair. If you have a computer workstation chair, sometimes they actually have a seat pan that tilts forward. And some people aren't even aware of it. There's going to be a lever underneath, and if you have one, you know, look for it, and you can actually tilt the chair forward. And what that does is that puts your pelvic in an anterior tilt. Now, like this chair actually tilts backwards. So sitting on this chair with sciatica is actually going to accelerate and make that pain worse. So they make seat wedges, or where they're thin in the front, about 2 or 3 inches in the back.
Yeah, and this one's actually the wedge seat. I'm going to read it, Brad. It's by Ergonomic Innovations. I'll put a link down below.
Okay.
It's a really high quality one. It's got a nice kind of breathable factor.
Yeah,
fabric.
And you're not going to slide off of it, breeze. And so you sit on there, and I've had patients use these, and they say, geez, it feels funny. It feels like I'm falling off the chair. And it's because it tilts you forward, and it just naturally puts that natural tilt into the back. And that's what you're looking for. It's kind of like if you're my age, when you start wearing seat belts when you were about 16, when they made it a law. Seat belts felt really awkward and funny, but after you wear them for a while, it just becomes natural. And the same thing would come with putting the seat tilted forward or using a wedge. It'll just feel natural after a while. Then you'll feel awkward in the wrong position.
Well, I think one place where this has a role, Brad, is if you sit a lot and you're working forward at a station like
Sure.
this, and you really can't use the backrest, because if you use the backrest, you slouch.
Sure.
So this kind of, if you tend to work like this, you know, it's going to help keep you in that position.
Right.
The other place where it really comes in handy, I think, is if your seat has like a bucket seat on your car.
Right.
Because that bucket seat is going to really cause your low back to round out. I mean,
Right.
if there was any place I would recommend, it would be in the car,
Sure.
especially.
You got that seat that has an actual, it's a hole in there.
Yeah.
And it drops your pelvis right in there and rounds that back.
Or an
notably.
older seat too.
Sure.
The other point we're going to make is that, you know, the sciatic nerve comes out of the back. You know, a bunch of nerves come together and they go through the sciatic notch, which is near your sit bone. So, you know, your nerve is already irritated. The sciatic nerve is already irritated.
Oh, go ahead, keep going, Bob.
So the cushion here sometimes feels nice on the sciatic nerve. You know, it
Right.
takes some of the pressure off the sciatic
yep.
nerve too.
So you're getting a double benefit there.
Yeah.
Now, along with this is you could go use this and a lumbar support.
lumbar support
or
along
just
with
a
it.
lumbar support by itself. And there's 3 basic lumbar supports that I like to recommend. I think Bob is in the same out. There's like a half moon one. There's the round one, and then there's the larger type like this. That,
It's like full seat almost,
right,
full back.
right.
I mean,
And we really like the one with the memory foam. And Bob actually likes to use this one.
I like it in my office chair.
Right.
I don't like it in my car.
Right.
You like it like it everywhere.
I love it in my car. I can't ride without it anymore. And I like it in my lawnmower, my riding lawnmower.
Okay. You're quite a sight, Brad.
Yeah, so everyone's a little different. You have to kind of experiment with each type. And what that's going to do is help maintain that arch in the low
Maintain the
back.
arch in the low back. Now, this is probably, Brad, I probably should have me show this because you got a black shirt with,
Oh, right, black on black.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
so we're going to go
Okay.
ahead and we're going to show it on me. Now you can see how that creates the arch
Get
there.
your arm out. There you go.
Now I actually like it a little lower in the kind of hitting my pelvis here, and that's where it feels really comfortable for me. And I think a lot of people do because when I tell people to put it down to the point where it feels comfortable, they usually go down to almost like belt line and a little bit below.
And you'll know where the right place is. You're going to adjust it to fit where it feels the best. You're going to lean against it. It's just going to feel like a wonderful feeling. It's support where it's supposed to be. Now, Bob, you said you like this one in your computer chair.
Right. Because it actually kind of keeps me forward again. Because I work like this, I'm not working back like this.
Sure.
So it gives me support even though I'm got kind of a lean forward.
Sure.
On it.
You bet.
The other point I was going to make, Brad, is that what I have found, just as has been my experience, when people are in the throes of back pain, they're having sciatica, they tend to like the thicker ones. And then after a while, once the pain is gone, they tend to go to a thinner one.
Sure. And it might be like this.
Right.
And oftentimes, larger people will usually
Need a
have a
larger
bigger one.
wall.
If you're a real thin person, it's probably going to be a thinner one. And it does depend on the chair back, the framework of it, and how soft it is and that kind
Now,
of thing.
generally, as a recommendation here, we recommend is just take a rolled towel to start
There you
off
go,
with.
Bob.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
And then you can decide what thickness you want, and you can see, does it work for me at all? I mean, don't spend any money unless you have to. I mean,
Right.
so give it a try and see if this helps. If it helps you sitting, then go ahead and maybe make the purchase and get something that you're going to use on more of a permanent basis.
Right. Yeah. So I actually did that a little bit backwards, but that's all right. We're
that's
backwards
all right.
anyways.
Yeah,
Start with the rolled towel and see what diameter it needs. And if the rolled towel works fine, you may want to just stick with that.
Stick with it,
You
sure.
bet.
People will talk about you in the office, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's right. And you can use it if you get wet. You can unroll it and wipe off a little bit.
Wipe your tears. Well, I'm trying to picture you cutting the lawn, Brad. You don't use black socks with shorts, do you?
So what?
So,
Bob,
right.
don't give that away.
all right, what's the next thing, Ben?
The last thing is very simple, Bob. Every 20 minutes or even sooner, depending on your symptoms, is just make sure you get up and stretch, or even better yet, go for a short walk. If you need to walk to the printer, if you're a truck driver, you're sitting, hopefully you can stop and take a break and go for a walk. Any of these vocations and jobs that require long-term sitting, if you can get up and do some walking, is going to help.
And to be honest, Brad, with a lot of my patients with sciatica, I tried to tell them to avoid sitting if they can.
Right.
And like you said, a lot of them can't. If they're driving or such. The other thing I think you try quite often, especially if the electronic adjustment for lumbar roll in your vehicle.
Yep.
Some people have that where they push a button and it comes out and gives them support. You talk about varying that through the ride.
Yeah, you're not going to have it out. Usually, I say bring it out as far as you can or whatever's comfortable, which oftentimes is as far as you can. But after, an hour that way or 30 minutes to an hour, you may want to vary it and go in a little bit so it changes the back. You're not going to go in so far that it rounds the other direction, but you can vary back and forth every, 20 minutes, half hour, half inch or so your spine isn't stuck in one position for a prolonged period of time. One
last thing too, Brad, is we did a video on using one of the sit-to-stand desks, and I just set mine up, believe it or not, after all this time, and I do love it. I mean, but I have two computers, so when I work on one computer, let's just say email, I stand, and then I go to the other computer and I sit. So it's just really a nice balance, but really helps my posture.
So you got the sit and the stand.
I just leave it up. Yeah, I leave it up completely, and then I go to another desk that's just already lower. So,
but with that FlexiSpot sit to stand, you don't have to do that. You can just lower it down and sit.
Exactly. It'll do both for you. So,
okay.
All right. Anything else, Brad?
No, Bob. Once again, this is just another step getting closer to fixing that
broken heart.
There you go.
We can fix just about anything except for a broken heart. Thanks a lot.